Are you taking too much risk in your investment portfolio as you either near retirement or are already in retirement? Well, today I'm going to tell you a story about a guy I recently met with that came to that exact realization. He realized 6 months before he was set to retire that his portfolio was down a really large chunk of money. And spoiler alert, it was close to $300,000. So I'm going to tell you that story, and then I'm also going to show you how we were able to help him put together an investment strategy that he was a lot more comfortable with. And make sure you stay to the end because we're going to have a quiz that you can take that will help you better understand how you feel towards market risk and make sure that your investment strategy is in line with how much risk you're comfortable taking. If you're new to the channel, my name's Ryan and I'm a financial advisor with Carlson Financial, and we specifically help those that are either close to retirement or in retirement. And what I love about my job is helping solve those problems that hit us once we get to retirement, whether that's an income planning need, whether it's a tax type strategy. But today I want to focus on investments and more specifically investment risk. So the common mistake that I see is a lot of us when we're in our 30s and our 40s and we're working and we're contributing to retirement, we're putting it towards growth-focused, aggressive type funds, right? And it's worked out really well for us. Over time, yeah, we've had some bumps in the road, but a lot of you that have been doing that, it's worked out great. Your money has grown over time and you felt really good about it. But here's where the mistake I've seen starts to happen is you get through your 30s, your 40s, you're into your 50s, and even your 60s, and you never make any adjustments to that investment portfolio. And that's where it can get scary and stressful. And that brings me to the story I wanted to tell today. Let's call him Bob, and I'll use hypothetical name, hypothetical number, but Bob came to talk to me because he was about 6 months out from retiring. He wanted to retire in June, July 2023, and he opened his statement in December of 2022 and saw that his 401k was down almost $300,000, down almost 30%. But the $300,000 was obviously what stuck out to him. And you see, Bob had done exactly what I just talked about. Bob had done a great job saving into his 401k, contributing every month, and he just picked 2 growth funds at the beginning of it and never really checked it. Just kind of let it ride, let it do its thing. Well, now that he got closer to retirement, he was starting to think about it more. And that feeling when he saw he was down $300,000 in that portfolio was obviously terrifying and a huge shock to Bob. And so Bob came to me with a couple things he wanted to figure out. One, how can I take less risk in my investment portfolio now that I'm no longer contributing money to it? And 2, how much risk do I need to be taking? What type of growth, what does my plan need in order for it to work into my 90s and close to 100? And it was really good questions that Bob had because it's the same questions that every retiree should be asking. So to figure this out, we had to do 3 things. The first thing I wanted to do was I wanted to figure out what Bob's income needs were going to be in retirement, right? I always think it's important to know your income before you truly build an investment strategy. So as you'll see here, Bob has Social Security that's coming in of $2,700 a month. He also has a pension, which is great, of $24,000 a year, so $2,000 a month. And then he gets a little over $1,200 a month from farm income. So now we know his income, but now I want to figure out what are his expenses going to be, because most of the time in retirement, we are not bringing in more income than we are spending like we might while we're working. And so Bob's the same way. He's spending $73,200. He thinks he's spending about $6,100 a month, and he did a really good job tracking this. So I feel good about that number. And he's bringing in over here on the left side, the green areas, his income of $68,700. So he does have a little bit of a shortfall, but the good news is his shortfall isn't very big. It's only $5,000 that first year. So one thing that Bob said to me that really stood out was he wanted to have a safety net, right? He wanted to have something that when his growth stocks or his growth funds were doing that thing where they're volatile and down, he wanted this money over here, his safety, to not be affected. So I asked Bob, I said, how much ideally would you have over here that's very, protected and safe? And he said, well, if you told me that I could just put 50% over there, my plan could still work, I would be thrilled. So is there any way we can do that? And so we dug into the investment strategy and we tried that, right? We moved 50% over there to more safe investments, and then we still had 30% that was dedicated to really good growth stocks, growth funds, and then we wanted to have some moderate investments. And why we wanted to have a mix of those three areas is, one, this safety money over here gives us a good place to pull income from when Bob needs money each month, right? If growth stocks are down, we definitely don't want to be pulling money out of those while they're down. If Bob stayed how he was invested now, regardless of if money was up or down, he was going to have to be pulling out of growth funds, and we definitely don't want to be doing that when things are down. And so we knew that having that safety was good because it gave us a place to pull income from, but also the moderate bucket did as well. And then Bob still wanted growth. We needed his plan to work for the long haul. He was 63 years old and he really felt like he was going to live well into his 90s. And so we needed this to work. And so we came into this program we use and we ran some stress tests. And the first thing I wanted to see was, does this allocation make you feel comfortable? And what we looked at is we said, okay, what happens if 2022 happens again in the future? How big of a hit would this portfolio have? And what we saw was it would only be down, it was down less than 10%. And that, to Bob, he was thrilled to see that. He said, I can handle that a lot better than I can handle the 30% that I just felt. So that was a good sign. This was a portfolio that he was more comfortable with. But now we needed to make sure that this portfolio actually worked for his plan. So we went in and we put in those things we've talked about: his income, his expenses. We factored in inflation. We factored in taxes. We did all the things that we do when we build out a financial plan. And at the end of the day, we found that this safer investment portfolio was going to be fine. Bob's plan was going to work okay, shifting a lot safer than he currently was. And this was the news Bob was looking for. And so he was able to now look towards retirement knowing, okay, I'm going to feel a lot more comfortable knowing that I've got this safety net that he was looking for. So the reason I wanted to talk about this today is because I think a lot of people think, well, if I move too safe, well, now my money won't last long enough and I'll run out of money. I need it to grow more aggressively. And obviously, growth is great. And to be completely honest, if Bob was more aggressive, he would probably have more money at the end of his plan. But that wasn't a major goal for Bob, right? He didn't have this huge family or a bunch of kids that he wanted to leave a lot of money to. So his main goal was, how can I get to an investment allocation that leaves it so I don't have this pit in my stomach every day where I'm stressing about the stock market. So making sure you have an investment strategy that fits, one, what you're comfortable with, and two, what your plan really requires is so important. So I strongly encourage you all to go down and take that quiz I talked about. What that quiz is going to do is it's going to ask you a series of questions to better understand your feelings towards the market and investments and market downturns and volatility. And what it's going to give you is it's going to give you a risk score. And so that risk score is going to be something from between 1 and 99, whereas 1 is the most conservative investor, right? Somebody that likes their money in cash. And I like to think of it as a speed limit sign, right? So if you're going 1 mile per hour down the road and you lose control, you're going to be okay. You're not going to get hurt. Your car's not going to be damaged. However, if you are a 99 risk score, that means you're a risk taker. That means you're going down the road going 99 miles per hour. And if you lose control in that scenario, there could be a lot of damage done. And so most people fall right in between, because 99 would be like putting all your money in one stock and just hoping it goes really well. So most retirees fall very much in between. And so it's interesting to take that quiz and get a better idea of where you fall. And if you find that you're way off from where you're currently invested, well, now it's time to either make some adjustments to that or seek a second opinion to find out if you can make those adjustments like Bob did that helped him feel a lot better as he went into retirement. So that's it for today's video. Subscribe to the channel. I'm going to try and put out new videos like this every week, and I would love to have you watching every single time. Like the video as well. That would be great. Thank you so much for watching. We'll see you again next week.